cream colored building. So that's the Mocara Hotel Inn and Spa. Back in 1901, my right hand side was once one of the biggest saddle and harness company in the whole United States. It was called the L. Frank Saddle Company, outfitting saddles and harness to the U.S. and Allies during World War I to Teddy Roosevelt and the Rough Riders. And these are pretty good examples of adaptive use of historical buildings. Again, it's very rare that we demolish anything down. We try to recycle as much as we can. They give it to hotels or restaurants or condominiums, something useful at least. Another good example is my left-hand side. This is the Omni La Mansion. But in 1853, it was once called St. Mary's School for Boys. So at one point, it was an all-boys law school. Coming up to my left-hand side is one of my favorite points of interest. One of my personal favorites. As soon as we pass this bridge, we have an optical illusion to my left-hand side. What only appears to be a freestanding wall. It only looks like a thin wall. So coming up to my left-hand side, look as high as you can, and there's a freestanding wall. So look all the way up. So this is the Nix Hospital since 1930. It's still to this day a full-service hospital. Now this is the only hospital that we know of that has a bar at the basement.
I want to work there.
Even Carol Burnett was born here.
Mommy,
Yeah, 1935. I mean, not the basement, the hospital. Just like that. She was born there. Right in front of us is the Hyatt Regency. And if you notice, the Hyatt right in front of us is not very tall for being a Hyatt on the Riverwalk. Before it could be built, they had shadow testing. Just so the building in front of us would not prevent the rising sun to shine over the Alamo, since the Alamo is a war memorial. Again, I know it's hard to imagine this with all the sidewalks and restaurants, but the Battle of the Alamo took place right here, right over this river. The Alamo is right past these glass doors. If you're unfamiliar with the Battle of the Alamo, it was a 13-day siege. Texas ended up losing the Battle of the Alamo, but they eventually won their independence in the month of April at the Battle of San Jacinto. That's how Texas became its own country, its own republic for 10 years. We are about to enter inside our historic River Square. What makes the area so historic, most of the buildings to my left-hand side are dated back from the mid-1800s. But we now offer interior to Riverside dining, left and right-hand side. So the majority of the restaurants will be right here inside the historic River Square. Now, it wasn't until 1941 that all of these sidewalks were added, and we were finalized as the Riverwalk, 1941. The designer, the architect, Robert Hugman, took it upon himself to move his own office to my right-hand side, in the basement of the Clifford building, just to prove to the people that it was possible to operate a business without the harm of flooding. The balcony to my right, it still reads R.H.H. Hugman. He was the architect, the father of the Riverwalk. He was only 28 years old when he finalized the Riverwalk, Mr. Hugman. My right-hand side is the first restaurant, the first business on the Riverwalk. It's called Casa Rio. They opened up their doors 1946. This restaurant here were the first ones to do it all. Riverside dining, gondolas, mariachis, they were the first ones to do it. And they are still to this day family owned and operated. Hey, so we're about to exit the natural part of the Riverwalk, the mud bottom of it. We're hanging a left here, and we are entering inside our second concrete extension. So the whole area in front of us is concrete. It was added to the natural part of the river in the 60s, just for the 1968 World's Fair Hemisphere. So the city of San Antonio needed a way to get people from the Riverwalk behind us to the hemisphere grounds in front of us, but without causing traffic upstairs. They cut this canal out of the earth, and they had a bunch of gondolas just transporting people back and forth. The World's Fair in 1968 transformed the Riverwalk into a tourist attraction. It brought our city 7 million visitors for a 6-month fair. But I mean, it took us quite a long time for us to be this popular here. Over the years, we were more unsuccessful rather than successful. It took the Riverwalk almost 50 years to be this popular here. Now the Riverwalk is the second most popular tourist attraction in Texas. Number 1 being the Alamo. We still to this day offer a transportation service. It's called a Rio Taxi. It's the same company, same type of barge.
Ganda.
We just have 2 different services. So the only difference is, right in front of their barge, it reads Rio Taxi. And right behind them, they have 2 checkered flags. Whenever you spot them and you wave them over, they'll pull over anywhere just to pick you guys up. They'll drop you off at a hotel, at a restaurant, or vice versa. So with that service, you could hop on and off as much as you like. Most people do not know that the taxi service travels up north for an extended 3 miles. They pass through Ylac Dam and they raise you up 9 feet to the other side of the river. But only the river taxis cover the whole route, which is 6 miles. Our narrated tours, we only covered 2.5 miles, which is a good thing. Check out these tree stumps to my right-hand side. They are called cypress knees. Since the roots of the trees are under the water, the cypress knees stabilize the trees. That's how they're able to breathe, grow, and stay alive. So without the knees, the trees are end up drowning since the roots are under the water. So the barge in front of us, again, that's one of our Rio taxis. Again, it's the same company, we just have 2 services. So they have 2 flags behind the barge and a Rio taxi in the front. With that service, you could hop on and off as much as you like. We have just entered inside the Henry B. Gonzalez Convention Center, named after the first Mexican-American elected into the House of Representatives. The whole area is going through major renovations. They recently demolished half of our convention center to my right-hand side. Now with this free open property, they're going to convert this into a park. They want a bunch of vegetation in the middle of our city. I guess something similar to Central Park, just a whole lot smaller, but that's the idea. So all this remodeling is for next year, for 2018. We're celebrating our tri-centennial. And we're also hosting the 2018 NC